Hello, and thank you for tuning in to NHK Newsline. I'm Yoshio Gasawara in Tokyo. Myanmar's military rulers have pardoned some of the many convictions hanging over ousted de facto leader Aung San Suu Kyi. But observers say the announcement could be designed to divert attention. On Tuesday, the junta said Aung San Suu Kyi has been granted pardons for 5 of 19 offenses. A military spokesperson says the total length of her prison term has been reduced from 33 years to 27. But pro-democracy officials condemned the announcement. The acting president of the National Unity Government says Aung San Suu Kyi and all political prisoners must immediately be released without condition. The pardons come one day after Myanmar's military extended a state of emergency for the 4th time since seizing power in 2021. They also coincided with a large ceremony in the capital. Monks and officials, including military leader Min Aung Hlaing, celebrated the completion of a giant Buddha statue. Beijing has started limiting exports of rare metals key to powering computers. Now companies will have to undergo strict government screening to sell Chinese gallium and germanium overseas. Gallium is used to make semiconductor chips, LEDs, solar cells, and other electronics. China produces over 90% of the world's supply and 40% of global germanium reserves. The move appears to be a response to recent pressure on China's high-tech industries. Last October, the U.S. began limiting exports of advanced semiconductors and equipment to China. Japan also followed suit. Beijing says this measure is not targeted at any specific country, but also fired back at Washington.
The United States continues to increase pressure and restrictions on China's semiconductors, artificially fragmenting the global semiconductor market.
The businesses who rely on the metals are already feeling the pressure. In Japan, more than half of the country's gallium supply is imported. The majority of imports come from China. This Tokyo company imports Chinese gallium for domestic businesses. It says the new procedures will make its work more difficult. Beijing now requires documentation saying who the end user for the materials is and what it's being used for. Meanwhile, some Japanese clients are scrambling to secure their supply. One business ordered 200 kilograms of raw material, about 5 times the usual amount. But the company says there's not much to go around.
Gallium is our lifeline, so we are very worried. It's such a main ingredient. If you manage it strictly like this, it will naturally lead to chaos in the world's supply chains.
The presidential candidate of Taiwan's largest opposition party vowed to restore stability in relations with China. Ho Yo-i of the Kuomintang party spoke Tuesday in an NHK interview after arriving in Japan the previous day. Ho is serving his 2nd term as mayor of New Taipei City. He said the Kuomintang party had a history of maintaining stable cross-strait relations while it was in power. The popularity of the 66-year-old mayor in New Taipei has led to his candidacy in the next year's presidential election. The city has the largest number of eligible voters in Taiwan. Ties with China are a key theme of the election. Ho expressed concern that the relationship is deteriorating.
Cross-strait relations are on the verge of war. If we're not careful, war will easily occur. As we are now facing such challenge, the first thing I should do as a candidate is ease tensions between the two sides.
Kuomintang under Ma Ying-jeou was the ruling party until 2016 when Tsai Ing-wen of the Democratic Progressive Party took power. Tsai is now the incumbent. Ho says that Ma's policy toward China was to not seek unification or independence or the use of force. Ho said that policy makes it possible to stabilize cross-strait relations.
We should adhere to the system of democracy and freedom, continue to enhance defense and military capabilities, and reduce confrontation through dialogue and relations between the two sides. This is the path that we should take, and what I really intend to do.
About the relationship with Japan, Ho said the country is extremely important for the overall regional order of the Asia-Pacific. He says Taiwan maintains very close relations with Japan to play an important role in sustaining regional order. Senior diplomats from the United States and China have met in Washington. It could lay the groundwork for a possible stateside visit by China's newly appointed Foreign Minister Wang Yi. The U.S. State Department says both sides discussed a range of bilateral, regional, and global issues on Monday. The talks touched on Russia's invasion of Ukraine and tensions in the Taiwan Strait. It comes after U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited Beijing in June. He announced plans to welcome then Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang to Washington, but Qin was abruptly removed from office late last month amid scandalous rumors. Since his dismissal, Washington said it wants to maintain their bilateral meetings. That leaves the door open for a possible visit from Wang as U.S.-China relations remain icy. A crane has collapsed in western India, crushing at least 17 people to death. Rescuers are searching for others who could still be trapped. The accident occurred just after midnight on Monday along a highway in the state of Maharashtra, about 50 kilometers from Mumbai. The injured were rushed to a nearby hospital. Several others are missing. State authorities are yet to determine the cause, but they've given the order to launch a detailed probe. Prime Minister Narendra Modi offered his condolences and promised to provide support. A replica of a wooden ship that once carried Korean diplomatic delegates has arrived in Japan. It reenacted journeys taken centuries ago. The vessel left Busan on Tuesday with about 10 people aboard. It reached Tsushima Island in Nagasaki Prefecture the same day. Representatives of Korean dynastic rulers crossed the sea on 12 occasions during Japan's Edo period from the 17th to the 19th centuries. The replica was completed back in 2018, but its voyage was put on hold due to strained bilateral ties and the coronavirus pandemic.
This is a historic visit. Our research efforts are bearing fruit.
South Korean media are describing the journey as the first of its kind in over 200 years. The vessel will take part in a festival on Tsushima Island this coming weekend. It's been a sweltering summer for much of the Northern Hemisphere, and Japan is no exception. Last month was the hottest July since officials began keeping records 125 years ago. The average across the country was almost 2 degrees Celsius above usual temperatures. Most places saw the mercury hover around 35. Last Thursday, part of Osaka Prefecture hit 39.8 degrees Celsius, Japan's hottest day so far this year. It's taking a toll on the most vulnerable. Hot weather sent over 11,000 people to hospital with heat stroke last week and killed at least 18. 4 elderly people were found dead in their homes in western Tokyo over the weekend. Police blamed fatal heat stroke due to the high temperatures in the rooms where they were found. Across Japan, officials are mobilizing measures to protect those most at risk from the heat. College students in Ishikawa Prefecture joined city workers, reminding elderly people to stay hydrated and use air conditioners when necessary.
不要不急の外出はなるべく避け、熱中症の予防行動を積極的に取りましょう。
Scorching conditions are also affecting tourist spots. Visitors are barred from entering Kamakura's famous Great Buddha until the end of August. The inside of the statue is so hot, it's like an oven.
残念は残念ですね。もうちょっと涼しくなったらまた来れたらいいなって思います。
Japanese weather officials say the severe heat is expected to continue for at least another week. A large and very strong typhoon is bringing violent winds and rough seas to Okinawa Prefecture in southwestern Japan. Weather officials are advising people to stay informed with the latest weather updates. Japan's meteorological agency says the storm is traveling very slowly at about the speed of a bicycle. The typhoon is likely to maintain its strength and is expected to make its closest approach to Okinawa sometime Wednesday. Air traffic is also being affected. Hundreds of flights to and from the region have been canceled. Weather officials are warning of extremely heavy rains accompanied by lightning. They say the slow-moving storm could have a prolonged impact on Okinawa and Kagoshima Prefecture's Amami region. They're urging the public to be on the alert for strong winds, high waves, mudslides, and flooding. And for more on the typhoon, we're joined by our meteorologist, Jonathan Oh.
Hello, Okinawa is getting the brunt of Typhoon Kanun as it continues to move slowly toward the north and west, bringing with it heavy amounts of rainfall, strong winds, and in the process, creating some high waves along the island area. And we are expecting the storm to continue to move in that direction, at least for the next 48 hours or so. So we're expecting high amounts of rain. Some places could see 150 millimeters of precipitation in a very short period of time. The models are a little bit confused about whether the storm will continue its track or is it going to steer more toward the north and east, because there's a high up toward the north that's helped to block this process. Nevertheless, the proximity of the system will bring some rain into places like Amami and Naha going through the rest of the week. We're also looking at rain to start picking up by Friday into Kagoshima as the storm likely will inch its way toward the north and east. And so we will have to keep an eye out on this system because it is likely going to lead to the possibility of flooding and landslide concerns as we see all this rain and wind moving its way through the area. We move toward the north. There's that high back toward the west that's going to be potentially re-steering the system up toward the north and east. We'll have to keep an eye out on that. We had a bit of a unstable pattern across especially eastern areas of Japan that brought some rain and thunderstorms that brought a little bit of relief to the temperatures in places like Tokyo, but that's not going to last. We're going to Wednesday, highs into the mid-30s once again to Tokyo, Osaka, even into the upper 30s into Fukuoka, and heat also into the northern portion of Japan, 33 in Sapporo as we go through Wednesday. Heat has been a big part of the story across the southern areas of the United States, and that will still be the case as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday. Up to the north, we do have a low-pressure system going from the Rockies into the Plain States, and so as it pushes toward the east, it's going to bring the chance for rain and thunderstorms as we progress on through the next day or so. But the heat still continues down toward the south, near 40 in Oklahoma City as we go through Wednesday. Hope you have a good day wherever you are.
And that'll do it for this edition of NHK Newsline. I'm Yoshio Gasawara in Tokyo. Thanks for tuning in.